I am very pleased to have you back here. I hope you're okay, I hope you're well, and I hope you're doing everything you can to be as nice to yourself as possible. As always, we would like to talk about some mental health situations. Cheers to mental health. This is going to be just like a little thing about just the symptoms of borderline personality and understanding it just like a little teensy bit more. It's different for everyone because there's levels to it, just like with anything in life, with every condition there's levels. Now, I can really only speak for myself, and I can also speak in general terms. I can't speak for any one other person. Like, if anyone receives information and they're like, oh, that's not quite me, that's okay. Everyone's different. It's still accurate information for somebody. So with that being said, if you would like to find out more information about borderline personality, then please stick around next to me, just here. No, there's no room. Number one, numero uno, odo con. I actually got notes. This is the second time I'm filming this. The first time I had an eyelash, it was doing bits, it was doing all that the angle, and it was all saying I was talking, my eyelash was talking as well, so I had to dead that, and here we are again, going at it. So obviously, like, not everyone's gonna have all these symptoms, and it's gonna be different for everyone, and blah 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 blah. But commonly, I can relate to these. Now, the first thing I want to say is that borderline personality disorder can be caused by, I believe it's trauma, so environmental factors, experiences in life. But I do believe it can also be caused by like genetic factors. I think it's to do with endorphins, because I feel like it's kind of a difficult argument, the whole nature versus nurture debate. So it really could be one or the other, or it could be both intertwined, that makes a person develop this condition. Now, speaking personally, I would say it's a mixture of both, because I've had mood swings for as long as I can remember. So I think that definitely it's to do with like low endorphins and sort of serotonin levels and things like that, because when I was on antidepressants for a while, that actually helped me feel less depressed. I wouldn't say that it sort of stopped the thoughts and all the other stuff that comes with borderline personality, but I definitely wasn't as depressed. I was just feeling numb, and I didn't like it. Like, I probably should be on my meds, but that's kind of why I came off of it, because I just felt like I just didn't feel anything anymore. I just felt I was just there, and I'd rather feel like too much than feel like nothing at all, because I don't know, I'm quite an expressional. I'm expressive. I'm quite an expressive person. Boy, it's hard to say, but it could be caused by either experiences that you've had sort of within your childhood, or it could be genetics, or it could be both, or whatever, a mixture of both. Now, obviously, like, it's different for everyone, like I said. So just it's something for you and your therapist to work out if that's the kind of route that you choose to go on. But for myself, that's not really something that I like to do. Just sort of like to leave it where it's at, and focus on the bullshit and try to sort that out, because I don't know, like, I can't change that, can I? So it is what it is. We're here now. I just want to try and like manage, because I don't think you can actually like, I don't think there's a cure. I mean, I guess there's a cure. It's not like it's a mental thing, isn't it? So it's more to do with like your brain pathways and how you respond to things, triggers and situations and things like that, and just sort of how you deal with people and issues around you. Basically, like, one of the first things I saw was emotional instability, which mood swings. For as long as I can remember, mood swings has been an issue of mine. Hi, mama. So I remember I'd be in school, and like, school was hard enough, sort of just being young, and like, I've got hyperhidrosis as well, which is this like sweat condition, which is a whole nother thing. So I was already struggling, and then I suppose it didn't help that I had this sweat condition, so people obviously weren't very nice to me about that. So I didn't get a lot of love in school, and that doesn't help. So obviously, like, I'd get upset sometimes, and if people weren't very nice to me, like in a classroom, I would just dramatics. I would just sort of like break down in the middle of a fucking lesson, because I would just be sitting there thinking about how shit everything is, or just storm off and go hide in the bathrooms and just cry myself until the end of the day. Things like that, like just not quite being able to sort of sit back and think, okay, I'm going through this right now, how do I, there's none of that. I'm feeling something and that's it. And it's the same with like anger and happiness and everything. It's just this impulsivity, this impulsive nature of mine that kind of comes with it, which is another symptom. So, along with the not being able to regulate my emotions and sort of getting emotional, getting upset quite easily, there's also then the impulsivity. So if I feel something or I want to do something, I kind of just jump up and I just go do it without really thinking too much about the consequences of it. But this is a thing with borderline personality, you're ever changing, you're never quite the same, because there's just so many different stimuli, and there's this emptiness that a lot of people with borderline have, where it's like you don't quite know who you are. I think because of the traumatic experiences growing up, and trauma could be literally just being invalidated, like just not being heard when you're younger, not being able to express yourself, not having your feelings and your emotions invalidated, like that kind of stuff will F you up. Because if you think about it, like that's a primary experience, sort of being with our family, being at home, the way you get treated by your mum and dad, by your family, is kind of how you expect the world to treat you. That's how you see yourself in the end. So if you're, if you trigger warning, guys, if this is a bit sensitive to you, but obviously, it's real shit and it needs to be said, and it needs to be discussed. So that's what this whole space is for. So if it's something that you're struggling to, hear, then please, like, just bear that in mind with everything I post, because it's gonna be a little bit intense, because that's just gonna be fun. Okay, so I don't want to say I can like laugh about it and joke about it, but you really have to. You just have to, especially when you're living it every day. Like sometimes, this is kind of like a break for me. So it's like therapy, because I get to say how I feel, express myself, and also like help other people. Hopefully, that's like the goal. So yeah, it's just I lost my point. We're driving there, we're like on the way. Something to do with the impulsivity can be difficult to handle, and it's not just something that you have to deal with yourself. It's like the people around you as well that are affected by this. So if I'm sort of to speak, regarding myself, it's like I had food, I had water, I had a roof over my head, and that was supposed to be it. That was supposed to be my, what more do you want? You know what I mean? Like, what do you mean you didn't get enough hugs? Like, you're fine, go to school, like go learn, go do what you're supposed to do in life. Like, it's not normal. It's not like something that they regard as actually important. Like, getting regular hugs and being shown like love from the people that are supposed to care about you is very important. And I think that ultimately, like, when you have kids, like, you really just want to be there for them as much as you can when they're younger, forever really, but when they're younger, so that you help them learn how to be treated by people. If you've got family that are very careless with how they treat you and don't necessarily validate you, then you likely accept bullshit from strangers, which I've dealt with for so long. Like, that's why I'm trying to like put all like information like this out there, so that people like me can begin to realize, like, first of all, know your worth. But we'll get to all that. In regards to the symptoms, God, this is so hard. I'm like so disorganized. I'm so all over the place. I'm trying, but I'm gonna put up little thingies as always, just so that everything matches and relates, and you can read and you can understand it, because it's good to know this stuff. If you have anyone that's like, deals with mental health, or even if you do, and sometimes we do and we don't even know it. Like, I'm gonna say this all the time because it's true. Information. See, number 3. Because I wasn't able to express myself a lot and say how I felt, I was always like shunned, yeah, whatever. I feel like my emotions didn't matter, and so expressing myself is something that I had to sort of like work on, and like to express myself properly, rather, it was something I had to work on, because I didn't realize that I'm able to do that, and it's okay, and it's right. Like, do you know what I mean? Yeah, I'm struggling. I'm really anxious right now as well. I don't know why, because I just did this. I just did this and it was like perfect. I mean, I thought it was perfect. I was very happy with it, and I'll have to redo it again, and I'm just like but so okay. Impulsive behavior, sense of identity, emotional instability, and intense but unstable relationships. Now, obviously, because of all of this stuff, because of this, you know, not being able to regulate your emotions, it can be quite hard to maintain relationships and friendships, because obviously if you're getting upset over things and people aren't understanding, or you're not seeing things the way that they are, you're seeing things the way that you're thinking, you know, these kind of things can affect your relationship. So I definitely struggled and still struggle with like making friends, you know, partners, even with my family. Like, you know, it's very, very difficult. So yeah, these are all things that people with BPD deal with. And I think that, not to say that it's an excuse to be an asshole or to be mean to people, but I think that it's important to acknowledge that there are so many things going on, that sometimes, like, just lash out, you know. But at the same time, and in the same breath, it's like, it's, at least in my case, it doesn't come out of nowhere. Like, I'm not just going to switch on someone. If I'm having a bad day, like, you would have known that. So I think there's a really big thing about respecting people's boundaries and respecting people's spaces. If I'm in a time where I'm obviously not able to engage in conversation because I'm too emotional or upset or whatever it is, then I think it's just right to give me that time and give me that space, you know. But so yeah, that's something I would say to like people who deal with people that have this you know, condition, or any condition in general, because these symptoms are, they go across the board, don't they? It's not just people with borderline personality that have these, but obviously this is what we're relating to, so that's what I'm discussing. However, mental health affects all of us for the most part, if not, you know, our whole lives, some, you know, at some points in our lives. And so it doesn't hurt to learn a little something about it, you know what I'm saying? And while you're learning, while you're at it, please do subscribe, like the video, comment, and share with people that might find it useful, because why not, right? So yeah, like, if there's like things that you can do, I suppose, to make your, you know, to make life a bit easier for yourself, and the two major things I would say are counseling and like cognitive behavioral therapy, which is counseling pretty much, but it's like essentially changing your brain, like, you know, helping your brain to pick better ways of reacting. Because what happens is you do something enough times and your brain figures that's the best thing to do, so whenever something similar happens, you sort of go a certain route because that's what you think is the most efficient route, but it might not be, you know. Like, I don't know, like yelling, if you feel like you're being attacked, say, you know, you feel a bit defensive and you go to sort of to yell, CBT will sort of help you to teach you how to redirect that neuron, and so that you find another way to express that. So maybe you're able to, I don't know, breathe to 10, and then, I don't know, maybe put a hand up and say, yo, like, please don't, like, I need a minute. But I would say that I'm definitely a lot better now than before, because I used to get upset quite quickly and quite easily, and now I'm a little bit more reserved, not reserved, but like I'm a little bit more just yeah, I guess more reserved, and I sort of think a bit more before I express myself. It's not to say that I'm not still going through the same turmoil inside of me, but it's just that I'm able to react a little bit differently. And obviously the more that you practice this, the easier it becomes, and then obviously the better outcome you can have, because your reaction will be a little bit more acceptable, I guess, you know, and better to fix the situation. So yeah, these are like some information about borderline and just some tips on how to make yourself feel better. Eating regularly and exercising is actually really important. Like, I didn't realize how important eating was, because I wish I would have a small appetite, but eating like regularly and properly, your mood does get affected by not eating. I mean, I can't even begin to tell you how much energy I have now, just by eating a little bit more every day. And, you know, of course, trying to get thick now, because that's what's in. But it's definitely good for you. And if you're somebody that is quite slim like myself, then yeah, like, just eat. And if you're struggling, I wouldn't say force yourself, but like small portions. Try to eat, you know, like a little bit here and there throughout the day, rather than just like big 3 portions, whatever. I still struggle, but I just snack a lot, biscuits and like nuts, mixed nuts. Like, yeah, just stuff like that, crisps and whatever the hell I can find, that I enjoy, obviously. But yeah, these are like just like little things about BPD, and thank you again for watching. Follow my Instagram, because I'm gonna start doing like posting videos on mental health stuff, and subscribe. Thank you for watching.